And common policy is in full force. If you're not respectful, you get deleted up into deletion bin land. Earlier, I found some comments that were not, they didn't pass vibe check. And guess what? Some people are gonna be okay with that, but you come to my lives and you be kind-hearted to the hill land and back. And if you're not, goodbye to you. Yeah, so especially like women, stand up for yourselves. Like as a woman, I stand up for myself 100 to the 20. Like there was some guy earlier, he said something that was ridiculous, so his comment got deleted into deletion bin. Deletion bin, my friends, is for men and women that cannot be respectful. Deletion bin you go. Because, you know, like I said, my channel's all about letting people be themselves, and you show respect to the 120. And if you're not respectful to the 120, you don't get to be in the comment section. And we won't argue. I won't argue with you about it. I'll just delete it. And we don't even need to tell people who aren't respectful to be respectful, because they know what they're doing. Learn to be a good cookie, or just don't come here. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the bad behavior club. Nobody is. Bad behavior club should just go, like all the bad behaviors, they can go away and find somebody who will talk to them another day. Anyway, yeah. So I've been trying to stay more up on my cleaning tonight. I kind of fell behind a little because I wanted to do a few more things. I did, but I just fell behind, but that's okay. I'm going to try and get back up on top of it. Here's some thoughts. These are just my thoughts about things in life. People will always tell you what they think is the best thing to do. But here's a powerful thought for you and I. Just because somebody thinks they know what the best thing to do is for you, that doesn't mean it's the best thing to do for you. Honestly, be a little intrepid. Be a little strong cookie in that you do a thought process and you know what's best for you. Like, if you know your heart and you've thought about things, and this is my whole thing, I want everybody to feel strong cookie in being who they are. Don't let anybody tell you who you are or what you know. Anybody who tells somebody what they know, they're feeble in a way, because they're trying to play a little game with you, like a little narcissist game. And narcissism just isn't my grape jelly jam. If it's yours, we don't do narcissism. Just like we're not going to play political games. We're going to go up to bat against Donald Trump, and we're going to go up to bat against people who hate Donald Trump. We're going to be independent people. And that's what I want for myself in this channel. Like, I'm not going to, like, lust over a politician, and I'm not going to cry over a politician. In fact, we're just going to hold them accountable like we always should. And if you don't do that, then, well, he's not on top. American people are on top. He is a servant to the American people, and he needs to be humble pie, like all presidents should be. That's what being a president, that's what being presidential is. They're accountable to the American people. Okay, now you know what's going to happen to you? Deletion bin. That's what's going to happen to you. See, that's the thing. Like, you have to be a truly good president. We will see. But a truly good president is humble. And they're a servant to the people. They're not talking about how they're this and that. The content. Well, we never said he wasn't the president, but he's also a servant to the American people. Do you understand? So you gotta learn to be more not left and right. You have to learn to hold presidents accountable. Like, they are a servant to the American people. So this is my thought process on this. I have mega respect for Barack Obama and Jimmy Carter, like presidents like that, because they were very humble in a way. They weren't like carried away with themselves. And yeah. So, yeah, but it has nothing to do with being this or that. It has to do with just realizing a president is a politician and they are humble to the American people. They are not a king. George Washington said this, okay? This was something that George Washington believed when we set out to create this country. So don't treat a president like a king. Don't act like they're infallible. Hold them accountable, okay? That's the thing. Hold them accountable. But I'm not going to get into the political bickery because I didn't vote for him. But I didn't vote for Kamala Harris either. Plot twist. I thought neither of them were good. I thought we needed an independent third-party person, but we're never going to get that because everybody's like Democrat, Republican, going up to bat for things that I personally, like the last really, really good president I felt like we had was Obama. And before that, probably Jimmy Carter. And who else? FDR, JFK. I don't know. It's been a while since we had like really, really good president. And looking back, I wasn't as much of a fan of Clinton. I think Ralph Nader could have been a good president. Bernie Sanders, things like that. I mean, Gary Johnson even would have been better in a lot of ways. I don't know. It is what it is. People don't look into third parties. They don't look into what makes us American. Remembering a president is a servant to the American people. He's not a king. I just don't want people to forget that. So I'm not going to be one of these people that cries about a Trump presidency, but I'm not going to be one of these people who treats him like a god either, because I think both are just not a good way to look at it, in my opinion. And that's where you're going to get divisive, and that's where you're not going to look at it in a healthy kind of way, I think. Because right now, I'm looking to see what is Trump going to do to make housing affordable for all Americans, to stop dividing everybody, to unite the American people. Because his speech really wasn't that today, okay? If you're a critical thinker, it wasn't that. I'm not going to, I know some people are like, there's some people on the left, like they watch The Handmaid's Tale and say that he's the Handmaid's Tale. I don't believe that. But I also just don't believe that he should be president. I thought he was too old. Actually, that's not really true. It's not really true, John. That's not true. To be honest with you, the problem is housing. The problem is housing. The problem is the grocery stores. The problem is not having any form of antitrust legislation. The things that you described, that's not the problem for most Americans. That's a problem for some people. And that was a problem in the 1930s. You don't think that people, why do you think there was a prohibition movement in the US in the 1920s? No, that's just not it. But today, this is what you need to think about, in my little opinion. Rather than going up to bat for this politician, being like, oh, he is the one that's going to turn America around, because I don't think America is in such bad shape right now, okay? America's a lot better than some people make it out to be. Like the whole like super Trump fans, they don't love America enough. They don't love the beauty and majesty of what America is. And that's going to be both people on the left and right, really. They don't get it, and they don't love America enough, in my opinion, to know that America is a beautiful, diverse, amazing place. And that a third party person could see that, in my view. They just want to go bickery, like, what's wrong with America, this and that. There's a lot good about America. So much good about America. That, yeah, a Trump presidency isn't going to make or break America, in my opinion. What would make America better is if we had more free market opportunity. And I don't even know, like, do we have to enact antitrust legislation to do that? I don't think so. But it would be nice if the politicians stopped lobbying for, like, the corporations. And if, like, there was some, nobody was too big to fail. But, you know, these aren't things people want to think about. They just want to, I think they want to stargaze on a president. But there are things we do need to be critical thinkers about, that if Trump raises tariffs like he says, that the cost of living is going to go up to some degree. So you need to be careful. Like, I expect, you know, I'm not going to say that either. Like, I think we're a republic with a strong democratic tradition. We're not like a pure democracy. We've never been. Like, we're a republic with a strong democratic tradition. And that's the actual definition of our form of government. Like, if you study constitutional law, that is the actual definition of our government. A republic with a strong democratic tradition. It's not like pure democracy, but we have a democratic tradition. That is the definition of our government. So I don't think he's going to break democracy, but I think what will ensure our democratic process is not thinking that he's the end of everything and not acting like he's the king of everything. I feel like balance has been lost. I want to see what he's going to do. Like, I'm going to hold him 120%. I'm going to be harder on him. Like, supposedly he says he's more competent than Biden. So I expect right away he's going to do something to make the economy better. What is he going to do to make the economic situation better? What is he going to do to unite Americans? What is he going to do? Oh, I do read the Constitution, so we're going to delete you up. I have a degree in history, so deletion bin. Yeah. Please read the Constitution for the people who don't listen. We don't do that on my channel. I know some people like to write nonsense. Please don't do it. Don't do it here. Okay, you know what? I'm a strong woman myself. I'm not saying I agree with everything he did, but I know the Constitution 120%. So what are you doing to... It's my channel. I censor people that are rude. And I'm not lonely, but we'll censor you too. Bye! Deletion bin. No, censorship is like when TikTok says you aren't allowed. Okay, so this is what censorship is. It's like when they take TikTok away from you. But when you come to my channel, if you tell somebody what they are and what they know, like, look, yes, Republicans have limited certain rights for women, but I'm a third party person. You have to understand, I hold both liberals and conservatives responsible. And I hate the really vitriol between the two. Didn't you see Obama and Trump, like, being friendly with each other? Okay, good for you. I mean, that has nothing to do with anything. Like, you're a retired police officer. What does that have to do with anything? Like, we're talking about the Constitution. People need to be really honest with each other. Like, I just don't like the vitriol between the two parties. And I don't think that has anything to do with anything. Like, okay, that part I don't like. I don't like what happened there. Yes, that I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But did I vote for Trump? No, I didn't. But I just feel like we're going to have to move beyond that because now he's president, okay? And if you want to try and realize that to some degree, all the people in power agree with each other and are friends, you have to realize that. Did you see Obama and Trump being friendly with each other? Like, do you notice those things? Or like Bill Clinton going to Donald Trump's wedding? All these things. The people in power do divide and conquer politics. They've always done it, okay? Okay, well, I can do whatever I want. Who cares if something's corny? I just think I can do whatever I want. That's the thing. It's my channel, right? Yeah. But here's the thing. You can have any feeling that you want about this day, and I'm not saying that Trump was right. And I'm not saying that I'm happy he's president, but I'm not going to be one of those people that thinks it's the end of our country because of it. And I'm not going to be one of those people who acts like he's a king because he's president. There has to be another way. Okay, can I tell you something, Benalico? That's narcissistic talk, okay? So when you start trumping up or bringing out, oh, facts aren't feelings, don't do that here. Because sometimes facts are feelings and vice versa. Like generational trauma and all sorts of things. So that's not a good thing to say. Like, I've heard both liberals and conservatives say that. Not good. Not good. So going forward, what are we doing to just hold Trump accountable? That's it. But not think like, oh, it's the end of the world. That's it. So yeah, and by the way, I can say that I have a deletion bin. It's not corny. It's my channel. Move on. Well, I just decided that person doesn't even need to be on my channel. Anyway. I mean, there are certain things that the Biden administration didn't do right either. I mean, they gave aid. But here's the problem with that. Sometimes people distort the facts. And if we're going to hold the liberals accountable, yeah, Biden kind of had a bad, like, he was giving aid to Israel with the whole, like, what they were doing to the Palestinians, and being part Syrian Lebanese. How do you think that makes me feel that we give military aid to Israel and they were bombing Lebanon? Not, it's more complex, That's the thing. I don't think people realize how things are more complex than they really are. It's like everybody wants to say, well, facts are not feelings, but sometimes we have to separate ourselves from, like, can we say maybe Biden did things that weren't good too? And if we want to look deeper into it, his sons have done some things that I find questionable. And yeah, I really question, like, why Did we have a president with a memory problem? I mean, I could have said the same thing about Reagan, really. He probably shouldn't have been president either. And I kind of feel the same thing about Trump. But going forward, I want to see, what is Trump going to do to make the economy better for the American people? Is he going to make it better? You know, that's all. I'm sorry, Kevin. I saw your comments. There were some comments that were better than others, and okay. Just reading some of the commentary here. Anyway. Well, that might be true, Casey. I don't know. I hate to say it. Yeah, the corporations probably will do better under this administration. I don't even feel like Trump is exactly like Reagan, and not that Reagan was anything to write home about, but the thing is, during the Reagan presidency, the Democrats actually had a majority in Congress, and we had a more robust economy, and I don't think corporate greed was quite what it is now. I'm not saying, I mean, corporations have always wanted to make a profit, but now it's kind of just like, oh, look. I mean, I'll tell you, this is the one thing I did think was concerning. Why are all the tech CEOs at the inauguration? Like, what are they all doing there? Like, why are they all there? Why are they all there? That's kind of weird. And yeah, um, I don't think he's humble at all. Like, what's up with that? Like, he was acting like a king today. I don't even think like any president has ever acted that way. I mean, I have concerns, but there's some people that are freaking out, and I don't freak out. That's the thing. I refuse to freak out. Like, just because somebody that I didn't think was the best president became president, um, you have to remain calm, and you have to remain stoic to some degree. You have to believe in the future of this country. I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, the country's going to hell because Trump became president. But on the same token, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, he's the best thing that ever happened. I do think his speech is very concerning, like saying that, oh, like there's been radical elements in the American state. Like, what was up with that speech today? Why wasn't he trying to become a unifier? You know, at least Barack Obama always tried to unite people. I know some people are like, oh, he was just too centrist, but he always tried to unite people. I don't feel like Trump wants to do that. I know people are going to be like, but more millions of people voted for him than us. Well, I just hope for the American people that he will address the housing crisis. But it doesn't sound like he wants to. Like, everything he said today was just about gender and the southern border, and those are not the most important topics to the American people. They might be for the several more million people that voted for him, but here's another fun fact. Not everybody voted that was of voting age. Well, Casey, I'm not saying that you're wrong. He is only interested in himself, probably, but let's just give it. I mean, he's been president before. It was a very dysfunctional presidency. The economy was a little bit better under him than under Biden. But let's just see what happens. I hate to say that, because we can't change that he's president, okay? Like, a lot of people are freaking out, but I feel like you have to have some middle ground. I don't know. We just have to see what's going to happen, right? Now, if he starts making some sort of tyrannical changes, then I'll be like, yeah, you need to do something. But he hasn't declared martial law yet or anything like that. I just think we have to see what's going to happen. That's all. That's all I'm telling you tonight. So I And that's all I'm going to say about the election, because everybody is so heated about it. And I kind of regret talking about it because people get so up in arms about it. And oh, by the way, I do find it funny though that the one guy I had to block from my channel, his name was a troll account. Oh my god. Like the name, like really? I mean, he was a literal troll account. Okay, so censorship's where, okay, and I'm going to talk about censorship. Censorship is this. Censorship's where you're not allowed to have a channel. Like, you're not allowed to go on TikTok. You're not allowed to go on YouTube and post your opinions. Now, having a respectful comment policy, that is at the discretion of the person who runs the page, which there is a distinction. Like, you, okay, so you have freedom of speech. Like, if you wanted to make your own video saying whatever you want about, like, politics, you can do that. But let's say somebody doesn't really appreciate, like, what you're saying and being kind of nasty about something, then yeah, they can delete your comment. So, you know, and that's not censorship. I don't think. Well, I like my channel, Casey. I know. I like my channel. Anyway, who cares about politics? I guess what I was trying to say before that everybody went off the rails with that. I was trying to have like a discussion about maybe how we shouldn't treat Trump like a god or like the worst thing that's ever happened to us. But I feel like there's such polarized feelings about him that I don't know, like you can't talk about it even. And that's sad. That's another thing that I find really sad is that this, okay, and yeah, I will be honest with you. There are things that liberals have done that kind of bother me a little, that I think are a little too much. But the things that conservatives have done that are just worse are like, okay, in Beaumont, California, on a freeway overpass 3 days ago, and I saw this on Reddit, everybody was talking about it. There were people that made signs, and they didn't make signs like, oh, yay, Trump's going to be president. They said 3 days until payback. And I was like, what does that mean? Why? Payback for what? We're supposed to be Americans, I thought. Like, what did anybody do to somebody that they have to make a sign like that? I don't understand. Like, what kind of a horrible, like, feeling do you have towards other people that you, on a Thursday afternoon or a Friday afternoon, have so much time and energy on your hands that you made a sign for other people to see when they were driving home? I don't know. It's just that kind of polarized political environment. I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm not, but like for reals, if somebody's president, there's nothing you can do about it at that point. You can't stop him from being president. And I don't know, maybe we have to have a real discussion about what the Democrats did wrong. Like what they did wrong, where they made mistakes. And I think the origin story of that was 2020. Like, I just didn't think he was a good choice in 2020 because I had read about it and I realized that he had cognitive decline at that time, and it was obvious that he was like thinking really hard about his words and whatnot. But it seemed like in 2020 a lot of people voted for him because of COVID, and I don't feel like we had a real election year that year. Okay, and I don't agree with the Trump supporters one bit because I was like, I didn't vote for him in 2016. Like, what is this? It just felt like in 2016, we had the first time in American history where a third party actually, like, since Ross Perot, like, you had some third party people like Jill Stein and Gary Johnson. They actually had a chance of maybe winning. No, they weren't going to win, but you know, they had more of a chance. Like for the first time in a long time, a third party person actually had a chance. And to me, that was hope because just the way that the political divide in this country has been like liberal versus conservative, right versus left, Republican versus Democrat. Like, I became disenchanted with that. Like, I really, like, nobody ever talked about, like, what can we as Americans do to come together to celebrate all of our cultures, to celebrate small businesses, to celebrate the American way, to celebrate ingenuity, like all the beautiful things about America that I love. And it just had become this political debacle like, oh, Trump doesn't believe that Obama was born in America. And oh, liberals are making fun of conservatives, saying that they are uneducated. And oh, and it just like everybody became a caricature of themselves. And then you had Facebook and you had the data breach with Cambridge Analytica and people blocking each other over the election. And it just made me like think, I don't like that anymore. Like, when I was younger, I just thought everything that the Democrats did was great. Like, I was a really hardcore Democrat. And I started noticing, like, Democrats would make fun of people who didn't think exactly like them, and they would, like, stereotype them. And there was even this interview where somebody said that Martha Stewart must be a Republican, and she goes, "Wait a minute, like, I'm a registered Democrat." And they just assumed that she was a Republican because she was rich, which was such a big stereotype to me because there's a lot of rich Democrats, like, limousine liberal is a thing, especially in LA. And and then I just and then like all the truth behind divide and conquer politics and how Congress got together in 1990 to vote for an amendment to the Constitution that they could always vote for themselves to have pay raises. Like, guys, you are so bothered by right versus left that you don't realize at the end of the day, the congressional representatives, or the politicians and all the former presidents, they're in a club together, okay? Whereas the CEOs, to some degree, like, I hate to say it, is they love to keep us fighting over everybody. And yeah, like, we do have a new breed of conservatives that I find concerning. Like, I don't know why they're so obsessed with wanting to pass laws against like birth control and a woman's right to choose. It's weird. I find that truly weird. Like, why? Like, why are they like why are those the issues? But on the same token, the Democrats just aren't caring. Like, they're not caring about young people today, like especially people that had to work through COVID. Like, a lot of people had to work through COVID. Like, everybody said, remember when we all gonna stay home and play video games? But a lot of people didn't, okay? A lot of people didn't. A lot of people had to, like, I had to work through COVID. A lot of people had to work through COVID. People that made it possible for others to stay home had to work. Not everybody got to stay home during COVID. Some people had to go out and find another job during COVID. And I don't think they understand that COVID hurt people economically, and some people never quite recouped from that. And then we had the Biden presidency, which, to be honest, like, maybe some of his economic policies were not, like, some of it's corporate greed, yes, but some of his economic policies weren't good. And some of them did hurt the economy. And I'm not saying Trump's going to make the economy better, but I think it's a mixture of like corporate greed and politicians liking the rich becoming richer because they benefit from that, right? So maybe rather than fight over, oh, like the border, or that's like the Republican favorite topic, or gender, oh, like, oh no, somebody thinks they're a woman, but they're not really a woman, and I'm going to tell them they're a man. Like, that seems to be the obsession of the day with conservatives. And by the way, did you know, like, in Iran, the Iranian government actually had no problem with men who self-identified as women getting sex change operations and becoming women, as long as they wore a proper hijab, and no problem with them marrying men by birth. Like, that's a thing. There was a documentary about it, and Iran claims to be like their government's kind of it's whackjack, but they claim to be like super conservative, but they didn't have a problem with it. But there's all these American conservatives, like this is their number one obsession. It's about gender, and I don't even like sports. And this whole obsession with the gender in sports, it has turned me off sports in the Olympics even more. Like I was always kind of like I love to watch gymnastics and I love to watch ice skating, but I've never been a sports fan in general, and I've been even more turned off by it just because all conservatives talk about, "Hi, how you doing?" these days is that oh, that were some women that were born men became men and they played sports and created an unfair playing field, and now Trump's main obsession is like gender, that there'll only be two genders in America. Like, okay, so there's that. That's not a real issue to me. That's not a real issue, okay? Like, I don't know why he's so obsessed with that, but that's not a real issue in my view. Like, there's a lot of people living their lives, and what gender somebody identifies with is not our problem. Like, but why do you care? Like, it's focused on your own life lane and plate, in my view. Like, yeah, that's why I would never be a super fan of Trump, because like his obsession with gender and the southern border and women's birth control is kind of weird, right? But then we have liberals who I feel like they're feeding into the rage bait a bit. Like, I I just ask at the end of the day, like I know somebody was saying earlier, like, oh my gosh, like we have to like face facts, and feelings are not facts, but did you know sometimes your feelings are factual? And I think that's a grave mistake to say that feelings are not facts, because that's something that narcissists do, because somebody could feel hurt and pain from a really negative thing that somebody did or said to them, and the narcissist would say to them, well, feelings are not facts, like to kind of minimize or diminish how they feel about something, to say that their feelings about something and their interpretation of events is not accurate because it doesn't represent facts. I just don't think that's a good thing to say, and I have a lot of skepticism of people who say that. So there's no way to talk about politics really, because people love politics, but I think in this era we have to learn to live beyond politics, because there's more to life than what the conservatives think are the main issues today, and then the liberals who think, oh my god, like it's the end of democracy. No, that's what they want you to believe. So everybody will fight with each other. And then, oh, nobody notices at the end of the day that, oh, the corporations and all the people in power, that's every politician, really. I mean, there might be a few that, I mean, I'm just not going to fight over that. I don't want to fight over that. But this is the last thing I'm going to say about it, because people love to bicker and fight and be on the side of like feeling like this is gloom and doom, but that's not who I am. And some people can be like, oh, but sometimes facts aren't positive. Yes, that's true. But how you interpret things in life can some ways be the best way forward. And this is why I don't want to identify or spend my whole life identifying as conservative or liberal and thinking either or is the new religion. Okay? So, yeah, I do think we should be aware of things that are going on in the world, but because of how just friction and just ridiculous people get in comment sections and over presidential election, I don't want to live that way, okay? I don't want to be like the Trumpites who think everything's about gender and the border, And I don't want to be like the liberals who think that this is the handmaiden's tale. I just want to think, could we have had a better president? Like, if Bernie had been president, would these be the discussions that we were having? If Bernie were president, I think he would have done something about student loans and the housing crisis. But people don't want a Bernie. No. Because Bernie would require looking at real issues, not about being a rage baiter. And so at the end of the day, because people love the rage bait, I won't bring up the election anymore. And I'll learn to talk about current events in a non polarizing way because everybody wants to rage and bait with each other, you know? Bait and rage. That's all people want. They want to believe that their echo chamber is what is truthful. The Trumpites think that we have just lived through the worst 4 years and that now they are being brought into the light. And some liberals think that life is just now sparkly, like is no longer sparkly. I just no. There's got to be a better way than that. Let's just hope that the economy gets better. Let's hold Trump accountable. Like when he says that he's going to make prices go down in the grocery store. Is he going to do that? How is he going to do that? What is he going to do to make life more affordable? Because he said today that he cared about affordability. Okay. So what's he going to do about that? So that's all I'm going to say about that. So I don't think this was the most inspirational inauguration, but I also, it's just hard to say. I just don't think presidential elections are that presidential anymore. They haven't been since Obama. They just haven't. Yeah, we need somebody better. But it seems like every time the presidential elections get worse. But that's all I can say. So I just hope for the American people the economy gets better and that if we truly, like Trump says, believe in freedom of speech, that we'll let women make their own decisions on bodily autonomy because that's a form of freedom of speech, friends. And yeah, you want to obsess, I don't know. I want to let all the people fight it out because they think that their interpretation of the truth is best. But it would be nice if we could all be Americans again. It would be, right? I love this country. I'm never going to stop loving this country. I still believe America is a beautiful, amazing country. And I wish Trump had seen how beautiful and amazing America is. Like always has been. I wish he knew that because I feel like he doesn't. Like when he says make America great again, it's like he didn't know how beautiful America was to start. And I wish like Democrats knew that too. And I guess because my dad was a veteran and he served this country, I know those things. Like I don't and maybe that's why we used to elect presidents that were veterans. Trump hasn't been a veteran. He didn't serve in the military. Did Biden? He may have. You know, honestly, Biden wasn't a good one to go off of, but Obama didn't. It's been a while since we had a president that had served in the military. Bush was Bush was the last one, and he was just a little bit too ridiculous, honestly. But anyway, fight it out, guys. You know, fight it all out. So that was the last of my discussion about politics. No more, no more. Never again. Okay, so you know what I'll do? This is my thought. I'm gonna put music over this video afterwards, after it's edited. And I'll just disable all the live comments at the end because, man, not fun. No, I probably won't. Well, yeah, I'm gonna do it with this video. Going forward, I guess I'll do more ASMR-y stuff because I'm not interested in people coming to my channel to... I try to have a good discussion, but yeah, it wasn't, I don't know, it just seemed like it wasn't meant to be because people wanted what they wanted. So I won't try anymore.